Hey everyone, it's Mark Hespin here, host of On the Mark on News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app. Follow me on all social media at Mark Hespin. You know the drill. The NBA Finals tip off tomorrow. I'm not on the air again until Saturday, so I wanted to do a little NBA Finals preview, but mainly speaking about Jayson Tatum. There's so much talk going into the finals right now about Luka, and about the Kyrie return to Boston. There's a ton of great storylines. Kristaps Porzingis return to Dallas, and will he even be healthy for the tip-off from Game 1? I think the NBA got really lucky with this finals. It's a ton of great storylines, and I'm looking forward to it. I think we all are, especially with this week off we've had to wait for the NBA Finals to get here, building up this anticipation of the finals. But let me focus on Jayson Tatum here really quickly. I've been asked a lot, and I've been debating in my head a lot, like, is Jayson Tatum one of the three best basketball players on the planet? What I would say to that question is, Jayson Tatum today, June 5th, 11:45 in the morning when I'm recording this, in my opinion, is not one of the three best basketball players right now on the planet. But in 3 months from now, when we're in August, September, when we are kicking off football season, Jayson Tatum absolutely has an opportunity of what's in front of him to become one of the three best basketball players on the planet right now. So this morning, if I were to rank the best basketball players on the planet, I would go something like Jokic, Luka, Giannis. That's my big three. That's my top three. When all three of those guys are healthy, when all three of those guys are playing at their peak powers right now, those are the three best basketball players on the planet. I think that Jokic and Luka are a slight step above Giannis, just skill-wise, but Giannis, when healthy, is unstoppable in a way that we've really only seen Shaquille O'Neal be unstoppable as far as just a physical freak on the basketball court. There's a reason why he's the Greek freak, right? But Giannis has had multiple injuries the last 2 years. It's really curtailed him from being the world number one that I had him as a couple years ago. Jokic has stepped up, winning the 3 MVPs in 4 years and winning a finals MVP last year. And Luka, being in the top 3 of the MVP voting, first team All-NBA, almost every year he's played. It's like 5 years in a row now. And what he's done in this playoff so far, in going through the Clippers, in going through the young upstart Oklahoma City Thunder, in dispatching the Minnesota Timberwolves and their upstart superstar in Anthony Edwards, has just been so impressive. I think we can all agree on skill alone, Luka is there. And even though he doesn't have the MVPs or the finals yet, like a Giannis or a Jokic. So if the Boston Celtics win this title, that doesn't automatically mean Jayson Tatum's a better basketball player than Luka Doncic. In fact, I would argue that no matter what happens really in this series, unless Luka is like LeBron James when he was with Miami Heat, bad versus the Mavs, and he just lays a total egg and is embarrassingly bad, there's not much that's going to make me sit here and say, you know what, actually, I think now Jayson Tatum is a better basketball player than Luka Doncic. But let's go back to Jayson Tatum for a second. Jayson Tatum has an opportunity to launch himself away from the group of what I call 4, 5, 6, 7, and put himself into a group of 1, 2, 3, 4. If Jayson Tatum can lead the Boston Celtics to a decisive finals victory, even if it's in 7 games, and he wins himself a finals MVP, and he plays extremely well. He's 90% of Luka in the series. And he's, if Luka's scoring 32, Jayson's scoring 30, 29. If Luka's getting 10 rebounds, Jayson's getting 8 rebounds. If Luka's getting 7 assists, Jayson Tatum's hitting about 5, 6 assists. If he is about 90% of Luka Doncic, he wins the finals MVP. He wins his first ring. That, to me, could compel him very easily into the group of now, you know what, there's a very clear distinction of the 4 best basketball players on the planet, which Jayson Tatum would then, in my opinion, belong in. Also, though, he has what's in front of him something really, really special this summer. And it's one of those things that every 4 years, the best player on the championship team has an opportunity to carry that momentum and carry that dominance into the Olympics. And Jayson Tatum has that in front of him. Jayson Tatum should be the starter on the Olympic team. I have him. He could, you know, is he ahead of Durant? Is he ahead of LeBron? You know what I mean? Where do you put Jayson Tatum? Is he ahead of Anthony Edwards? Where do you put him? He very well could be a starter, but if he's not the starter in name, he's the guy who could carry this team and become the most valuable member of the USA Olympic team, as far as being like the young superstar to play 30 plus minutes a game and help, LeBron and KD and Steph, the old heads, will play their minutes, and start maybe, that really be carried by Jayson Tatum and some of the younger guys. If Jayson Tatum can go on a 3-month run of winning a title, winning a finals MVP, and being the leader of that Team USA, as far as like the young guy who kind of carries the team in the big clutch moments and handles the bulk of the minutes, handles the bulk of the scoring, and can become the face of Team USA, I don't think there's any reason why Jayson Tatum can't become the one in the discussion for the top 3 players in the world. And in that group of separating himself from Anthony Edwards, from Joel Embiid, from KD, Steph, LeBron, and the other guys in that kind of Wembanyama groups, like 4 through 8 ranking as far as the best players on the planet. I'm not going to knock Luka, Jokic, or Giannis. They've earned the right to be in that top 3, no matter even what happens with Luka in the series. Again, unless it's so catastrophic, in which case we'll be doing a video about that here, in the next couple of weeks, if Luka lays a complete egg and falls flat in his face. The one thing that Tatum has to be really careful about, though, and I think this is an interesting situation, because I don't remember the last time I really felt this existed in basketball, because even with Steph and KD, they're so different. Steph being the small, undersized point guard, the 3-point specialist with the ball handling. KD being the 7-foot freak of nature with the wingspan and the inside-outside game. They were so different. Yes, we knew Steph was the MVP of that team, and we knew Steph was the MVP of the league, but KD in the moment was the MVP of the finals in his 2 runs, right? Like in those games against LeBron James, those teams, he was the more important, impactful player. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. Jayson has this very kind of, elephant in the room situation with his own teammate in Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, not on Team USA roster. Jaylen Brown just won Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Jaylen Brown is the highest paid player in the NBA. Jaylen Brown plays with a looseness and no pressure, unlike Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum feels like he plays with the pressure of knowing, I have to be the best player. Why am I not considered the best player on the planet? Jaylen Brown plays like, I'm a dog, and I'm just going out there to play basketball and show everyone that you don't want to mess with me and that I can carry a team. If Jaylen Brown goes out and completely outplays Tatum and dominates and wins a finals MVP, I don't think we'll talk about Jaylen Brown as one of the top 3 players in the league. But I think it's very fair to sit there and then argue that, yeah, you know what? The Celtics have 2 of the top 10 players in the NBA. And I think it'd be fair to argue that Jaylen Brown would be ranked around 6 or 7 and Jayson Tatum would be around 7 or 8. And in that ranking, depending on how this goes. That's just the name of the game. All 3 of those guys, Luka, Tatum, and Brown, can all improve their stock as far as their legacy and how we view them in the pantheon of the great NBA players, not only right now, but historically and all time, by winning a finals MVP, by winning a finals. Luka especially. Luka could cement himself as the best player on the planet, depending on how this finals goes. And if he dispatches Boston like they dispatched the Minnesota Timberwolves in 5 games, then I don't think there's any question that at the end of it, you could argue that Luka Doncic is the number 1 player in the world. Can Jayson Tatum become the number 1 player in the world? It's going to take a huge 3 months. Finals MVP, a championship ring, and then lead Team USA to a gold medal. I think Jayson Tatum could have an argument for being the number 1 player on the planet. But that's a lot of big ifs for Jayson Tatum and his Boston Celtics. Can't wait for the NBA Finals. You know my prediction. I made it on the show on Saturday. I'm taking the Mavs in 7, and I'm rolling with Luka Doncic. I'll see you on Saturday morning for On the Mark on News Talk 1070 KHMO on the KHMO app. Follow me on all social media. Like and subscribe at Mark Hespen on everything. MarkHespen. See you next week.